How's it going? Dave from Comic Book Investments. So I'm doing this kind of like new thing where when I get in a run of something, I kind of just go through it one at a time and then kind of like talk about what's going on and stuff. So today we're going to go through the 80s version, 80s, 90s version of Sandman, Neil Gaiman's Sandman. And it's 1 through 75. So yeah, let's take a look at all of them. All right, so let's go through Sandman. Neil Gaiman series. But before I continue on, if you guys haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing if you like this kind of content. And if you are subscribed, thank you, of course. And maybe comment below on what your favorite Sandman issue is. So we're going to go through this together. I have not gone through these. Here's number 2. I've always loved this kind of art. It's very unique. And the interesting thing is that with this stuff, it's not all just a painting or any of that stuff. Some of this was what he built was real shelves. If you look on the side here, they're like shelves, and sometimes he'll put like random things in it. And this is like, here's like chains. This is chains. So what he did is he would have an original art here, and then he would have real items and then photograph it all together and like kind of splice it together and stuff. So there's real chains. Those are real chains. And then he put them together. Like this one right here is, has like a broken mug with a face on it and random things. And when the original art was sold, it was sold in a huge, like big glass case thing that would house all this stuff. And so, yeah, it was just very interesting. I think it's kind of like that whole collage kind of thing. Here's the first appearance of Death. If you haven't seen, there's a DC made these things called like showcases. They're animated shorts, maybe like anywhere from like 10 minutes to like 15 minutes long. And there's one on Death that was really cool. I liked it a lot. I wish they would make like more. I wish they would just do like a whole series of just like shorts, kind of like that. Whereas they do with the DC showcase, but it's like 1 or 2 a year, maybe. I wish they would do like a full on TV show where it was like 24 episodes of all these shorts. But yeah. So yeah, like this one right here. It's just kind of cool. It's so unique. It's like real art, and then over here it has like real pieces of like, it looks like a map or something. So that's so interesting. And this was like a photograph with some mixing with art of like a person, like photographed a person. And yeah, and then towards the end, not the end, but later, it got to more like traditional stuff. I'm thinking this one is a painting with those peacock feathers on it. Right there. This one was like a frame. I think I seen the original one of this. This one was like, there's a painting of a cat, and then they broke up some frame and put it around it. It's just, this is so unique. And yeah, I loved it. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear my dog snoring in the background. They're sleeping. I just took them to the park. So I actually film these. Sometimes I film them and then I upload them right away, but I don't always have time for that. So a lot of times I'll spend my weekends preparing and going through and filming a bunch of them. So technically right now it's Saturday, and I took them to the park. I'm currently uploading one so this is kind of like a new series where we're going to go through all these books together and just kind of talk shop or whatever, seeing if this is kind of cool. But I just uploaded the first one today, today, but I'm not going to upload this one until probably later this week. So, but some of the videos I literally just film and then upload that day. Depends how much time I have. But yeah, so I don't know. I have not read this series. I've read a couple here and there, but definitely haven't read this series. I remember when I was a kid. This was probably, when was this? I was little. So my dad he used to be a big time dealer, and he would get in like the 80s and 90s. And what he would have me do is make bags and back boards. And then sometimes when I was a little older, he let me like put them away. And then when I got a little older, I would like help him grade and stuff like that. The stuff he didn't really care about. And I remember this series because I remember it says up here on the top corner, somewhere up here right there, it says suggested for mature readers. And I was like, oh my gosh, a comic book that's like not for kids? What is this? It must be like porn. But I remember going through this series, this and Swamp Thing, and my dad was like, here, just bag and board all these. And so at the time, they would have been new, actually, when I was doing them, because this was probably mid 90s. So these were probably all, I mean, obviously the first one wasn't new, but like this one's from 1992, and this was in 34. So this is like the mid 90s, probably towards the end of the run. But I remember going through this, Preacher, Swamp Thing, he must have gotten like a collection of like this kind of stuff. But yeah, good times. Yeah, so now we're on 37. Yeah, it's just the whole art thing is just like really cool and interesting and unique. Yeah, this one right here, it was 2 photographs, and there's a way you can like merge the 2 photographs together, kind of make like this blurred image. That's why one hand is kind of like blurred. This one was, I believe in this one, everything's real except the moon. So someone just has their hands on their head, and I believe the moon was painted, and they put that over it. But yeah, everything else in there is just a real photograph. And like I said, all these are like really high grade. I haven't gone through any of them but I will after this. I'm going to go through and pull out which ones are worth sending to CGC, which ones are worth, grading, and so on and so forth. But I'm looking at this and it just reminds me of like the 90s for some reason. Just this is the style it is, that kind of like gothic look. Just like, and I'll look at like other bands I'd like listened to at the time, and they kind of used like similar fonts and similar just very interesting. For some reason, like this series always like takes me back. Even though I never really read it. Like this one right here, the color scheme, it's issue 45. The color scheme, the way the pictures are and the way they're cut out just reminds me of like an album cover. And obviously I'm super into music, and just this one right here just reminds me of like, this could be like an album cover on something that I would like listen to during that time. So that's why it kind of reminds me of like the 90s and stuff, and just like the color palettes that they'd use and things like that. If anyone's read the whole thing, or at least majority of or parts of it, comment below. Let me know what you thought. I'm pretty excited because I've been interested in it. It's just like, I have like this list of all these comics I'd love to read. Right now I'm working on Miracle Man by Alan Moore. And I'd like to get like the trade paperbacks, but they're so expensive. Just like ridiculously expensive. It's cheaper just to buy the books individually. This is kind of cool. But yeah, the Miracle Man I'm working my way through. I have half the issues, but it's just like finding the time between doing everything else that I do. Fit 2. It's kind of cool. I like the blue. Yeah, right now this week I have to practice a bunch of music stuff because I'm going into the studio. I don't know if you guys anyone out there is familiar with Jason Mraz, but I go to his house to record. I don't record with him, but he's in the studio currently, so I was supposed to go a couple weeks ago, but he's finishing up his newest album, so then I'm going to go in after him. He has like this 50-acre avocado orchard with a bunch of other stuff he grows, geisha coffee. I don't even know what that is, and dragon fruit and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, so he's in the studio. After that, I'm gonna go. I have in every video I do, I link my music channel and also my Spotify and all that other stuff. So if you're ever interested in listening to my stuff, it's all on there. It's all on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, wherever you want to listen to it. But I have a video of basically it's called it's like an in the studio video of the last record we did, where it's us going to his house and like recording there, and just like cut scenes from doing that. But yeah, so I kind of wanted these go-throughs to kind of be like, we can just like talk about stuff, reminisce about things while we look at covers, cool covers. Not necessarily everything has to be about the comic, that we're looking at. I do know they're coming out with a Sandman TV show. I think it's going to be on Netflix. So that's why these books have been getting like really good prices. I have this one, I think I want to say it's Sandman 18 or 19, and there's an error version of it. Like there's something wrong on the inside. And here's a misconception people have, is they think just because there's an error, it means it's more rare. But that is not the case. Most of the time it is, but that is not the case, because it depends on the print run. They could have, let's say they were going to print 100,000 copies of this, and let's say they found the error after printing 75,000. Well, that means 75% have the error on it, and then the other 25% don't. So that makes the non-error version more rare. And that's how it is with this one. I think it's either 18 or 19. And I have a 9.8. And you look on eBay, and there is no non-error. I think there's one non-error, but it's like a 9.0. And I'm the only one with a 9.8. But if you want the error version, there's like 10 copies of the error version. Like 2 already 9.8, a bunch of 9.6, 9.4. And this guy keeps on hounding me about like, oh, you should drop the price. It's not that rare. And I'm like, if you look on the census, there's like only 3 graded. But the error version has 10 graded at 9.8. So yes, it is more rare. And he's like, no one's going to pay that price. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm fine with just keeping it then. I think I have it up for almost like 1,800 or something like that, 1,900. I can't remember off the top of my head. And so he always keeps on coming back at me. He's like, I'll offer you 200. And I was like, no. And then he'll come back like a week later and he's like, okay, fine, I'll go 300. And I'm like, no, I'm happy keeping it. He's like, oh, it's too high. You're never going to sell it. I'm like, it's fine. I'm still fine with having it, And then he just messaged me like a week ago, and he's like, okay, I'll go 500. And I'm still like, no, no. Like he hadn't messaged me in like almost a month, and he comes like, okay, I'll go 500. Because the last message he said was, he's like, these things are not rare at all. I have a bunch of copies. I'll just send mine in to get graded a 9.8 then. And I'm like, go ahead then, do it, right? And so then, of course, a month later, I guess maybe his copies didn't come back on 9.8, or he didn't have them. And he's like, I'll give you 500. And I was like, nope, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, you're never going to sell it. I'm like, okay, well, you keep on going higher. Give it a few more months, and you're going to eventually be at the price we want. So that's the end. Yeah, that's the end. There is a couple specials, I guess, like kind of annuals of it. And then Black Orchard. There's a few more in there. There's like, I think like Life Circle or Book of Death or something like that. That's not in this collection. This is kind of 1 through 75 with a couple annuals. I know that with YouTube, if you hit like 1,000 subs, you can do live streams on YouTube. And I think this would be the perfect thing to do a live stream of. And then that way I can watch the comments, and then like I can start talking about stuff that I want to talk about, like maybe unrelated to comics, and then people can comment things, and then I can like interact with people. So that's why I was hoping to do with this series if I get to 1,000 subs, and if you guys even like it. Maybe you guys all hate it. So, but I think it's kind of cool. I get to go through them too with you guys. So, all right, let me know if you like this kind of stuff. All right, thanks.